Hi, this is János, it's Reverb Audio, and let's look at something very interesting today. It is a question from Neo, and he was asking whether we can use Altec driver as a single driver in a Voigt pipe cabinet. So that's a very peculiar question, and it was something that I was thinking about, is it doable or not? Because the Voigt pipes were, so the Voigt pipe cabinet was designed and invented for an 8-inch driver. If you are going smaller or bigger than that, you are pushing it, and it's not going to be as effective as the Voigt pipe cabinet for an 8-inch driver. You have to start tweaking it around, and you are going to I would say not unknown areas, because there's a lot of people who are trying unusual things, but I would say 90% of the experience or with Voigt pipes is with about 8-inch driver, or a lot with 6-inch drivers. And when you are going outside this range, the further away you go from 8-inch, then the more unpredictable the results become when you build for yourself, or you try something new, something fun. Especially like 12-inch or 15-inch, that's what I have found online is when people just build like a Voigt pipe cabinet for a 12 or 15-inch Altec driver, it didn't work. The Voigt pipes are not the choice cabinets for Altec drivers. It's not going to work. What I did myself, how I adapted the idea of a Voigt pipe, played around with it, and what works for the Altec driver for the 515C plus the compression driver is the voice of Lancelot. So my channel is basically about the voice of Lancelot speaker, how I built it, how I got there, what was my audio journey to get there. And if someone wants to progress towards that path, then basically that 1,000 of videos that I posted on my channel will help you steer in that direction. Because the answer is not to build the exact same cabinet, because you cannot get the exact same wood, you cannot get the exact same parts, and not because I said so, but because I have lots of people who tried to build it. I tried to help them, and no one could get the same parts. It is just the availability based on where you live, what is available at this point or that point, parts shortages, etc. Availability is different for everyone, room dimensions, etc. is different, so you will need to optimize it to your room, to your equipment, your setup, and it's such a complex process that you basically need a really well-rounded knowledge to get the best of Altec drivers in a Voigt pipe-ish sort of way. So like coming back here to this question, is is there a simple calculation? No. Can you just up or down? No. I really have a lot of videos about Voigt pipes, how they works, and basically what you need to do is create a pipe, a channel that's as close to the width of the driver as possible. That's the most important part for it, that it cannot be much wider than the driver, because then the effectiveness of the pipe will go down. And but the problem with the pipe configuration and the Altec driver is, how are you going to place your compression driver? And then that's not something that is easily done when you have a standing pipe, provided that the compression driver is just freaking heavy and really bulky, and you just cannot just put it on the side or somewhere. So that's why in my voice of Lancelot it is essentially a folded pipe, and the compression driver is sitting on top of it. So and the pipe itself is the support. Also, I had another question that I wanted to ask, which is like connects to this one. ESSS1226 asked it, and he was asking, can we connect woofer straight without crossover of any kind for low frequency? I say yes. I have tried it, and yes, it is possible to connect like the 515C. I tried it with the 515C, connected it directly, and when you do that, it is not a woofer anymore. It's a full range driver, and it's not just producing low frequency. The actually what the 515C does, and every Altec woofer, when you run them without crossover, is they are mid-range drivers. The strongest they put out is in the mid-range. Let's have a look at it. So this is like the original. It's for the 515B. 515C is similar, but the question was generally about Altec woofers. So here we go, just like 515B for the average Altec woofer. And as you see, this is like the measured frequency response. That's 1 kilohertz right there for everyone. And usually when we have this driver, it's crossed over at 800 hertz or maybe a kilohertz, and you see it's just like it should drop off right over here. But when you're on full range, then you see there's a monstrous like +6, +8 dB rise up to 2 kilohertz. So at 2 kilohertz, it's like, and that whole mid-range region, it's like 10 dB louder than the 200 hertz to 800 hertz region. So it will be just massively a mid-range driver with a little bit of upper bass and bass playing on the side. That's how you will experience it. And also, can we see it? This is like 3 kilohertz, 4 kilohertz, 3.6. So this is the frequency where we will hear the cone break up. And that's because of the size of the driver. And where we go here, right, you see there's the dust cap, and the diameter of the dust cap, this the sound wavelength that corresponds to the diameter of the dust cap, that's the 3.6 kilohertz frequency, and that's where the cone breakup is. And that's because inside here we have a dome, right? So we have a dome loudspeaker basically that's moving back and forth and creating sound, and there, that's the point where it meets the cone itself. So the cone speaker meets the cone driver meets the dome driver, and the differences between how these work with each other, when the frequency reaches that wavelength that corresponds to the diameter of the dome where the transition is happening, that's where the cone breakup modes are happening. And this gives a really very strong coloration to the sound, and that is very much audible. So basically, when you run Altec woofers without crossover, they will put out most of their energy in the mid-range. They will sound like a full-range driver with a strong upper mid-range coloration, and it lacks the very top air. So like 16 plus kilohertz is missing from it. But here this is a little bit misleading because they haven't measured it beyond like 6-7 kilohertz, and yes, that there's a drop here and not much going on, but after 10 kilohertz it will pick up, and you will have like 10 to 15 kilohertz but out of phase. And that's because you see you have that hole there in the middle of the dome, and through that hole, when the driver moves back, the air shoots forward. When the cone moves forward, it sucks the air in, and that's the diameter for about 15 kilohertz. So frequencies around 15 kilohertz will be beaming in opposite phase in the middle of the driver. So that's why, like, if we run it without a crossover, then the mid-range will be overpowering with strong breakup between 3 and 4 kilohertz, and then there will be a gap between 5 kilohertz to 8-9 kilohertz, and then it will be out of phase beaming, very strong high frequencies, and then the very top, like 17 to 20 kilohertz, completely missing. So it's not a good idea. I think it's a good idea to try out. It will have a very vintage retro sound to it, but and initially it will be fun to listen to without a crossover, but after about half an hour or an hour, it was really bothersome to listen to, and I just stopped because it was even painful, those high frequencies beaming out from the middle. It's pretty painful and extremely loud. So nope, full range Altec woofers don't work because they are mid-range drivers. So, and that's true for most woofers that let's just go back here. Every woofer that's like 16 inches or so will get stronger and stronger in the output up to about 2 kilohertz. So if we don't limit them at kilohertz or 500 hertz, 200 hertz, whatever, they will start climbing. Most of them not as strong as the Altec drivers, but there we still will see a steady slope of rising, usually like up to 2 kilohertz, and then they will fall off. So I really hope that this little video helps about understanding the Altec drivers more. So thank you for these wonderful questions. Thank you, team. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.